Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
He's a singer, songwriter, guitarist, and founding member of Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. Scotty Morris, thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You know what, Scotty, I can't believe this, that it is the 30th anniversary of Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. What does that feel like?
You and me both, man. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, people ask if it feels like a blur. People ask if it went by fast, but it didn't go by fast, and it has many different like levels to it. So it's pretty interesting. It's like a really, really long marriage to 9 other men.
Well, you know what was so amazing? I told you this before we started the interview. You know, where I saw you at the NAMM show this year out in Anaheim, California, and you were on the stage, on the Yamaha stage, and you guys were just amazing, especially you and Kurt. You know, your drummer, your founding member also, and like I said, 9 pieces total. But it's like the energy that Big Bad Voodoo Daddy brings with with I would say the style of the 40s and 50s era swing. You know, what they call, neo swing revival that you guys did. But it's just as powerful today as when you guys started 30 years ago, Scotty.
Yeah, I think one of the keys to that is just the fact that I never really looked at this as any kind of a revival. I looked at it as a modern take on music that I really love and heard, music that like I picked up from cartoons, from like Tom and Jerry and stuff like that. And I just combined it with my love for Cab Calloway, Louis Armstrong, Louis Jordan, Louis Prima, all the Louis in the book. I loved them all. And it's just a modern day version of that. So we come at you as hard as any rock band or any whatever band would come at you.
And the energy is so powerful, and especially with the horn section and with the interplay between all of you. And once again, we've got to mention, you guys have had a number of hits over the years with Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. You've been included in movies like The Wild, talking about animated shows. You've music for Phineas and Ferb. Yeah. You know, I mean, you've been in Ally McBeal, had music in there, Party of Five. The list goes on, where Big Bad Voodoo Daddy was a part of this and even playing the Super Bowl.
Right.
Kind of ridiculous.
I don't know if I could write that script in Hollywood and anyone would believe it, In 1993, when we started, Nirvana was the #1 band in the world, And so to come in.
And that's when it seemed like a great time to start a swing band.
Exactly. And then a swing band with all original members make it 30 years and still be doing this at the highest level that we can possibly do it.
Right. Well, and I think that's what is so amazing, showing the musical gifts and keeping this style of music alive too, because I know, growing up with it and hearing it all the time around my household also, to where it's just, it's great music, but there's something about seeing it live. And that's what Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, in my opinion, does best, is the live show that you guys put on. It's high energy. Yeah.
What's funny is we were talking earlier about the NAMM show, and I'm sure you're a tech guy, so I think you probably know Bob Clearmountain. So Bob Clearmountain is one of the greatest mixers on planet Earth. There's no disputing that fact. And I met Bob really, really early on in our career. And he had us play when he won a Lifetime Achievement Tech Award at his house years ago in like mid-1990s. And we played there, and Bob had me come over for dinner after we played with him, and he really loved the band. And he told me, he said, your #1 obstacle in your career is going to be taking what you do on stage and putting that on vinyl, CD, download, whatever it is. When you record, it's going to be finding that balance. And I'm still looking for that. I agree with you completely. It is about the live show.
Well, and once again, mentioning like Louis, with all the different influences, everything, and a lot of viewers may not know this, Scotty, to where you got the name of the band from blues legend and icon Albert Collins.
That's correct. Yep. He signed an autograph to me when I was like 17 years old after seeing him play in a small club in Los Angeles. And it was totally packed, totally nuts. And he's walking out on people's tables with his guitar. And I'm just a kid just going, holy cow, what is this? And then he signs this autograph to me. And I'm like, how can you not be gifted a better gift than that, you know?
Yeah, and essentially hands down the name to you
Exactly.
of Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. I mean, by Albert Collins.
I
mean,
know.
just that story in and of itself, Scotty, is ridiculous.
To me, it is too. I agree. I agree.
And then, I mean, you know, what drew you? Because obviously, the early bands and everything that you were in California, you know, with the punk and with alternative and everything else, what ended up bringing you into the swing style music, and also obviously with some Rat Pack lingo and everything, you know, and there's comparisons to Squirrel Nut Zippers and some of these other bands. What brought you to that, Scotty, for this style of music?
Well, I mean, there is, as we know, every once in a while, there's a zeitgeist that happens that goes in the air, and people pick up on it. And I believe that I picked up on it pretty early on, because when I was a kid, the music was I really enjoyed it. And when you mentioned punk rock, and I did a lot of punk rock music. I made a lot of records, and I've been making records since I was about 14 years old. So
Wow.
I've been doing this my whole life. So with the punk rock, the thing about the punk rock that I enjoyed was the intense energy and the do-it-yourself attitude. It wasn't the fashion, and it wasn't the violence or the non-violence or the this or the that or the that. It was the energy of the music. It's all I cared about. Right. But when I listen to New Orleans jazz, when I listen to like great swing music that's done right, right, you know, that early Kansas City stuff, you know, there's a lot of edge to this music. And so that's really what I've been striving for. It was really, that was what I was looking for. And that was the main influence that sort of pulled me through this.
Well, and also, Scotty, you're known as being a Gibson guitar player, and it was not lost on me to see you on stage with your ES 175. What made you take that leap also? Because obviously, as we both know, playing punk and alternative, really not semi-hollow body friendly guitar-wise.
No,
you know,
not
due
so
to
much.
the levels and the distortion and everything else. So what brought you into that particular model of guitar also?
I went to music school in Los Angeles, and in the 80s, and Howard Roberts was our founder and our teacher, and he sat down with a hollow body 175, and I had never heard a guitar sound better in my entire life. And then Barney Kessler would come in, and he'd have his hollow body. You know, Tommy Tedesco would come in, he'd have his hollow bodies. And I'm like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it like that. Like, I got to figure out a way to make that work. And I personally am a telly man. I've got a telly with me 5 feet from my arms at all times.
Wow.
I also have some Stratocasters that I have that are just the most beautiful vintage guitars you've ever seen. However, I don't play the same. I don't play this music the same with those guitars. Something about that guitar, maybe it's limiting, maybe it's whatever it is, it really adds to my style on where I'm going to put. Because when I play my telly and when I play my Strat at rehearsals with us, I play way too much.
Right.
When I play the 175, I know I'm just going to fill in the gaps.
Well, you know, and I think that's one of the things to me also with a jazz guitar. Obviously, as we both know, there's more fight in it. You know, you get more resistance than you do from, say, you know, a telly or a Strat, to where you can be more fluent. And sometimes being more fluent, particularly in the band you're in with a 9-piece band, is not always that great. Sometimes it's economy of notes and chords, and you're comping jazz chords.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what it is. It's really staying out of the way of the importance of what are we trying to focus on right now? Where is the arrangement taking us, and where do I fit in that? Where does Josh, our pianist, where does he fit into that? You know?
Right. Well, and I got to point this to you also, Scotty. It's like being 30 years in now, and obviously with the bands and incredible teachers, you know, that influenced you. How do you guys feel now with Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, to where people are recognizing you as influencing them? And because it seems like now, especially with the younger people, you have more bands coming out with horns and doing a lot of the stuff like you guys started out 30 years ago. How does that feel now?
Well, I mean, it feels good. And the responsibility, I think, is to really just show them that it is possible, you know, and it is possible through a couple of key factors, you know, attitude. You know, attitude is such a huge part of it. You know, attitude is having a great attitude and a great work ethic that work together. Those are things that, you know, I didn't really have to be taught that from somebody. I wasn't mentored with those guys. But when I look back and I read all, because I'm a historian. I love to read about all music. There isn't a certain music that I don't read about. And the one factor about the guys that were doing one-nighters from the 20s all the way through the 60s, and when I meet these guys, the one factor is the one-nighters. Those guys would do 300 shows a year. They worked so hard. You want to know why those bands sounded amazing on those recordings? Is because they played that music a lot.
Right.
A lot.
And it's not lost on me. I mean, once again, being a blues nut also, what do you think Albert Collins would think if he was still alive and he saw how far you have taken this, from him signing a note to you at a venue when you were a teenager, and now you're 30 years into, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy is an iconic band. What would Albert think about this now, Scotty?
I told the story, and I plugged him on the Tonight Show years ago when we first came up, and I said, because Jay asked me, where did you get that name, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy? What is that? And I told him the story, and he laughed, and the audience laughed and whatnot. And then I received a note from his family saying that he would have been so proud of that statement. So, it's like little validations like that mean, so much to you, as, it's like the music gods giving you just another little morsel to keep going,
Exactly, which I think we all need sometimes, that reinforcement.
We all do, yeah.
Well, and obviously Big Bad Voodoo Daddy is constantly on tour, and you guys are known for playing the Epcot deal also, with the food festival that you've done, but also now a big part of your yearly deal has become your Christmas tour.
Yeah.
Bring out the Christmas music. Yeah. I mean, so talk about that, Scotty.
Yeah, you want to talk about, again, 1993 starting a swing band. Again, a Christmas tour was so not thought through. There was no marketing strategy at all. I literally we were playing holiday parties during the early stretches of our career. And I mean, we would play like 10, in our local area, because everybody's like, oh, those guys are fun to dance to. And I'm like, we're not doing any holiday music at all. So I just started writing all these really sarcastic rock, like Christmas songs. Like I have a song called Christmas Time in Tinseltown, where Santa Claus picks my pocket. And it was really just to make the guys in the band smile. And it just kept evolving and evolving. And during December, we would play these songs. And then it became, every email we would get in December was like, when are you going to make a holiday record? So we did it, and it just never stopped. Now we've got 2 holiday records, and it's an endless cycle. It's really, really fun.
Well, and I wanted to bring up also that you are going to be coming to Nashville, playing a CMA room at the Country Music Hall of Fame on December 31st, I believe.
Is it that? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm just coming off of a road trip right now, so I don't even know the dates.
You're not even sure which city or state you're in right now, right?
At this point, 30 years. I mean, we're well over, I think we're over 3,600 and something shows at this stage.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, I mean, the question then has to be, Scotty, with the band still performing so much and just sounding better than ever, are you guys planning a new album or anything else for this big anniversary?
Yeah, we are. We're dealing with some. We're not dealing with it. We're sitting down and we're hashing out. 28 years ago, when things started to go crazy for us, our manager is like, "You've got to do a contract," and we're like, "Okay." So we did a band contract, and the band contract said, at the end of your 30th year, you have to renegotiate that contract. For like 30 years. What? Okay, great.
I'll never hit that.
So we're renegotiating our contract, trying to figure it out as a team. And so once we get that finished, it's going to be a series of 2-song singles. They're going to be 45s, and they're going to be 2,000 of them at a pop. And then once they go, they're gone, and they'll be 45s, and then you'll be able to stream them after the fact. So yeah, I've got tons of new music ready to go. It's just a matter of the world getting back to normal, our contract being legit, and then we can get back to work and do what we want to do.
Well, then obviously you have to negotiate this for another 30 years then.
That's exactly right.
It's done in 30-year increments.
That's exactly right.
That's a good problem to have.
It's a really good problem to have, because I'm not stopping anytime soon.
Right, but it's and I think one of the things too, and you brought it up, Scotty, besides the instrumentation and the pure energy of Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, what I always enjoyed from the very beginning when you guys were hitting the scene was the tongue-in-cheek kind of sarcasm in the lyrics and everything, to where you really had to pay attention. If you were a casual listener, probably not going to get it. But if you sat down and listened to it, it's like, oh, I get what he's doing in that.
I try to candy coat it so that you have to really listen, because the music, I've tried to be relevant and tried to be modern with lyrics, and when I'm writing lyrics, and it doesn't sound right. It just doesn't sound right. So I try to put a spin on it just so that to make it more interesting,
It's like you've got little Easter eggs in there with the songs. It's, kind of like you were talking about with the cartoons. You watch them when you're young and you get them that way. You watch them as adults and go, oh my gosh, there's a whole other level to those cartoons that we weren't getting.
Yeah, good.
And I think it's the same with your music.
Thanks. Yeah, good catch. That is there for sure. I mean, nothing is willy-nilly with us. We go through everything with a fine-tooth comb, and things are specific. If they're terrible, they're terrible. We were intending for greatness, so we'll take full credit.
Well, and certainly with the renewal for the next 30 years, I'm sure there's going to be a big tour going into next year. Also the merch, because another thing, besides being such an incredible band, especially live with Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, your merch is kind of legendary. With the shirts, with the logos, with everything you do. So is there going to be some special stuff coming out?
Tons, yeah. We've been working on a ton of a total complete revamp. So there's a whole load of new stuff coming. And
so that'll probably be launched later this fall, you think?
Yeah, I mean, because of the pandemic slowed things down so much, and we were unable to do so much of work. And when you're in a band that's been together for so long and you've got this many members in it, trying to construct these things, it just takes way longer than people. Instead of just 2 people making decisions, it's 7 people. So we have to work this through, because we work on a democracy. So yeah.
And I know that the contract is going to work out for the next 30. I got a good feeling about this.
It for sure is.
Well, I want to make sure for our viewers that they know where to go for everything Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, for the 30th anniversary, for the 45s coming out, for the incredible tour, because you're only getting a short break at home, Scotty, so don't get too comfortable in your own bed.
I'm not. And I
so where do the I got to trim up a little bit. Where do viewers need to go?
BigBadVoodooDaddy.com, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy Instagram, and it's the official Big Bad Voodoo Daddy on Facebook.
I'll tell you what, I can't wait to see you guys live again, because it's just it's inspirational with all the music that you do and with the entire band. I can't wait to hear the new songs and get some merch and everything else. Scotty Morris, thank you so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of a Bobby Bones Show.